I want to toss it back in your corner for a minute.
Okay.
Because you're going to throw something out that's going to cause us to pause and think or to feel. Experience. I know you've listened to some of the podcasts. You and I have certainly had conversations about this cauldron that we're creating. And you've asked me some very provocative questions that make me go back to the place of, what are we creating? What's the intention here? And so I'm curious, what would be your reflection on what you've heard? Or
I mean, in all the podcasts, you mean?
Just in terms of the podcast, even this conversation now.
Part of it is there's something wanting to happen. It's happening. It's formulating like an algorithm. It's searching. It's scanning at some level.
Good analogy.
Pardon?
Good analogy.
Right. And there's also, I'm thinking a little bit of the Rumi's chickpea story.
I don't know that.
I don't know this story.
Where the chickpea's being cooked in the big pot, the big cauldron. It doesn't like it. And it tries to jump out, and the cook throws it back in. And the chickpea says, "Why are you punishing me? You're hurting me." And the cook says, "I'm doing this for your own good." Well, how could this be good? And the cook says, "Well, it's softening you. It's taking the hard edges off of you. I'm going to add some spices to you, and you'll be nutritious for others."
Oh, I love that. Oh,
and
my gosh.
that's part of what happens in this,
We're chickpeas.
And again, I know you know of the visions I had in the past. We wouldn't be doing this ceremony this weekend if I hadn't responded that night. I had that vision in one of Joe Campbell's classes, then going home with Joe in the subway.
Wow.
Had that conversation. In native ways, they say everyone has a future. Some people have a destiny. And with me, when these things started happening, Joe said, "We either go to your destiny gracefully or you're going to get dragged." Because in some way, there's something that certain people can do that others just cannot do. And I think some of that's happening here. Whatever the alchemical vibration is here, and you're having to surrender to, at some level, to something that wants to show itself. And I'm sharing for my own self that there's this it's archetypal Joe talked about being the waypointers. And there are those who on the lecterns, the pulpits, and the street corners, well, if you want to have this experience, go, that's the way to go. And the truth is, they rarely ever go there themselves. They talk about it, like preachers in church or people who are caught up in theories talk about it, but they rarely undergo the journey themselves. And then that Gandhi statement, be the example. So by burying yourselves, cooking yourselves, finding, some edges like you've mentioned, Jerry, to me, and we've all mentioned you, a softening is going on. Something is happening vibrationally to us.
Yeah.
And we're models for others.
Yeah. That gave me chills.
Yeah.
I felt something there.
Can you breathe? Can we see that? Breathe into that, will you? For me. Breathe into it.
Well, I love the story.
Don't give me the word. Just breathe into it first. Stay with it. Just stay with it. Your yoga man, breathe into it gently.
Chew it up. Mull it over.
Soft, gentle breathing. So there is maybe a pre-verbal voice in there that's responding. A place's response inside. We call that a glimmering also. And with all your training, let some of that skill set in there. Open up wider, relax more.
The story of the chickpea just resonated.
Okay.
That softening.
Softening.
And allowing.
And that great something that's doing that to us and other. Yeah. But then surrendering, to me, it's been surrendering to the process and learning to enjoy the surrender.
That's what it feels like. It doesn't feel like I have to, guard myself from it.
Yeah.
but the softening allows the
If movement
this,
happens.
yeah, this release, this opening up.
Yeah.
And if we're the examples, then others will be invited in.
That's right.
I have a random question that popped into my head just now, listening to you guys talking about this. For me, it's getting older that I feel has been such a gift
Mm.
because I'm able, just having your life experiences and your education and what you read and stuff, it takes time. And what my question is, do you think that only people that are older and have a level of maturity can experience this sort of spiritual awakening or enlightenment or contemplative way of thinking about these things? Do you think like a teenager or a kid can be taught, or is this something that really only comes with age and experience?
Well, this is an edge for me right here. I'm going to say that because Jerry knows already from like Melodoma's culture. I know from indigenous cultures around the world. There are very little ones who are very wise. They came in that way. And they were allowed to be. They didn't have to go through. Some of the two-spirit people I've met in the native cultures, they were witnessed by their grandmothers. So they were taken away. You know, I'll do this. They didn't have to go through any kind of rebellion because they were seen. And that little spark inside knew, I'm here. Belong to the village, belong to the tribe. And it did not go through what we had to go through. And I maybe got to watch that, but I'm putting my finger a lot on the whiteness, the white culture.
Yeah.
Domestication.
Yeah.
And that's a perfect word for it. It's like cattle domestication. We have just, we've lost all of the, what I would imagine would be the ancient teachings of our ancient original people. That's another thing I was saying. We're talking about where that comes from, where that spirituality that's so important comes from.
He mentioned Melodoma, who is a teacher of ours, Melodoma Seme, from the Dagra people in Burkina Faso, and when a woman conceives and is pregnant, the shamans and the elders are already divining, why is this person coming to the tribe? What gifts, what is it that they are bringing? What is their sense of purpose? It's conceptualized, it's explored before that child even crowns its mother's cavity.
Oh,
And the vision of the tribe is to hold that child in fulfilling their calling, in being who they are. And so it's not like there's this prescribed idea of you have to go through grades 1 through 10 and get a diploma and then move this way to be successful. It's like, we're going to facilitate your purpose and who you are, and the tribe and the village comes together in relationship to that.
Once they've identified it, or are they trying to find out what it is that they're bringing to
Well,
the tribe?
I think the shamans are trying to get some understanding of how do we prepare the place for this person.
And so it comes in a place of welcome.
Right.
Total receptivity, knowing that you're bringing something from the other realms, you're bringing that to us. And to be born into that welcome.
Yeah. You pop out
Village
queer.
welcome.
Wow. What's that going to bring to our community?
Yeah.
You pop out autistic. What are you going to bring to our community?
Oh,
How does our village support you in manifesting your destiny?
Yeah. I have a recent experience. I become very connected with the Asatru, the ancient tradition of Iceland.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the a documentary was made a few years ago about this one friend of mine who's the speaker for the elves on Iceland. The government listens to her about the elves. And so this documentary, she came here for all these openings in America. And because of people being unseen in our culture. I mean, Jerry, I learned today, I never saw before, he is so eidetic. We would call that being his lead system. I would say his kinesthetic system is much less developed or nuanced than his eidetic system. And some people are auditory. We have all these different skills, but when they're honored and brought out, then they're a contributor to the village and the well-being of everybody.
Yeah.
You know? And that's where, like you say, the autistic person. Now, I have another story from Iceland where in this big ceremony, this guy was supposedly autistic in his 20s suddenly started talking to me. He had never talked in his entire life. And he spoke in English, not Icelandic. And the people in the ceremony were just dumbfounded because there's something latent like this here. It's latent to come out. For God's sake, let me out.
Yeah.
Let my joy, because all joy to me is essential joy. A lot of liveness.
So to answer your question is...
Yes, it can happen.
Right. Yes, it can happen, but for our culture, right, it would require a shift in our cultural narrative and our cultural understanding, right? And that's kind of what we're learning through these pathways of spirituality, right? Is this breaking down the domestication. Miguel Ruiz, I think, talks about it perfectly. It's like, how do you break down the domestication to find what is authentic and to give that permission and to allow it to move and to flow through you, as opposed to the critic or the metote or the other kind of elements that seek to suppress you.
So see, now I understand what you couldn't impart to me before, which I was just saying to you recently that I see now that the original religion, the first religion of the first people here, is the religion, is what all other religions copy and bastardize and twist around. It's the earth, it's the sky, it's the sun, it's the trees, it's the ground, it's all of the things that are actually tangible, that are giving us life, that are cleaning the air for us, that are making us free, that are growing our food. I mean, that's the original common sense religion to me. So it just so happens that the original first people were for us, and what we know, the Indians and all the indigenous forms. So whereas I never really made the connection, why Catholicism or Mormonism or whatever are all relevant in whatever way. And now I see they have their own thing. They have their own reason for being there, but it's all a bastardization of the original religion in my mind. So I can see why you would really be focused in this.
In some of the mythologies, I'm thinking about Andean mythology and all, but here in America and Indian, the great creator was a dreamer and dreamt this and dreamt this and dreamt this into being. And then supposedly the creator got lonely. And so created the two-leggeds, to share this great creation. They all were part of family. We're all relations. Years ago, I got to sing the lead in a premiere of an oratorio of Black Elk's visions about that vision woke up to him there in the Dakotas. And the voice said, I've created all of this, beautiful. With that little 12-year-old kid, Black Elk.
And you were able to tap into this ancient.
Yeah, well, this composer, Native American composer.
But I mean, when you were doing it, you connected and related to it and felt it.
We learn in these circles, we become it.
Yeah.
We cannot be separate from it.
Strange and awesome.
Surrender to that.
I have to share. I'm finding myself sad because I feel like we were deprived.
Yeah.
Right? Of our right to be. I'm saddened that we didn't get to have that welcoming, celebratory experience.
Right.
And so many of us did not
Yeah.
have that.
But we are now.
And that's the thing.
Yeah, we are now.
But I guess my feeling is a sense of grieving.
Yeah.
Why didn't we get to have that?
Yeah. Billion reasons, but what I'm saying is what you're experiencing now is so right, and it so sucks, which is why I am happy now, because it's like these realizations have just been coming lately, and it sucks, but we're trying to create that's what we lost. We're trying, and we actually, I mean, for me, I am. If I left here today and I never saw anyone again, I still feel like I've grown in a great way, just from realizations that were not readily apparent to me my entire life. So I do feel like you right now, you should be optimistic. I know we've been burnt so bad that you have to be cautiously optimistic, but I feel like you should be optimistic because there's some. I mean, you've been around this group longer than I have, but maybe because I'm seeing it with fresh eyes, this is some good fucking magic that's happening here, for lack of a better word. Good vibrations, good feelings, good honesty, honest disclosing your fears and your hearts, and looking at people and realizing that things aren't what you thought that they were. And it's hopeful for me. It's hopeful.
Yeah. And it is for me too. I think the realization is knowing now that I didn't have this and we didn't have this before, and so I'm just mourning that loss. And the hopeful part is that our listeners and the people who are coming to our retreats and our social gatherings can understand what we've missed, what we lacked or didn't have, but now we can celebrate.
Yeah. And yes to that. And go into that sadness right now. It was given to us as a gift right now in the process here. Stay with it. Right? We have these circles that comes out of the old Karelian tradition where no one laments alone. They sit in circle together. I mean, in the African tradition, I didn't know that. But that's all, because it woke something up in me too. And let's all find that place of sadness in ourselves.
Yeah. It's just sad to know that.
But don't put it all so much words.
Yeah.
Stay with the feeling and the sound of it. Let's get back, because the words have trapped us. We're imprisoned in words. Yeah. Get back into the feeling.
But isn't it so tough for men
Who
in
gives,
general? I know
but
it
now
sucks,
you're running away right now.
No, I'm confirming what you're saying. Own the emotions and experience the emotions. And I want to do that so much. And I've only been doing it from freaking crying in the fucking lodge. But I want to be able to also put that stupid ego shit down and emote too and feel that stuff. And I kind of feel like it's happening now after all these years. It's finally starting to happen.
In the Northwest tradition that I was led to decades ago in the smokehouse, one of the basic things is, can you laugh honestly and can you cry honestly?
That's great.
It's a big spectrum.
Yeah.
That's great.
And when I've seen these awesome initiations, with all that cry, that rage was ever down there, shoved down, it's got to come out for the body to be clean inside emotionally. We are emotional beings.
Now I know why my grandmother, my mother, my father, and all my brothers and sisters are screamers. Oh, everyone's like so overly, come here, you bastard. You know, that's how we kind of all got it out. We're very touchy, huggy, screaming and yelling, and then getting over it and expressing ourselves like Italians in that way. I guess that is a really profound thing that I never really even thought about.
Yeah. And now's the time to contemplate it.
Yeah.
And do some harvesting.
Do you know, Cole, um,
It's an inside joke.
I want to. I've been doing this work almost 30 years. He's been one of my teachers that whole time, as well as others. Um, everyone that I've been in relationship to has talked about giving that emotional self permission.
Mm-hmm.
As a therapist, I know the value of doing that work. I think I have better access to it today than I did 20 years ago, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But I do know that when it comes up, right, my first inclination is to shut it down. And I think I shared with you this Tyler Perry video, which I love because he's talking about grief. I don't know if I shared it with you, but he's talking about grief on the Oprah show, and they turn to an audience member, and the audience member says, my mother died like a year ago, and then she kind of sucks in like she's getting ready to cry, and she goes, "Oh, I'm sorry. And Tyler Perry says, No. Don't stop it. I found that I could keep myself busy. I could work hard, blah, blah, blah. Guess what? Grief will wait.
Grief will wait.
It will show up. And it's just best to let it happen when it happens. And that was the essence of it.
It's so true.
And
I'm living proof that is true.
Yeah. But it's not even just grief. Like, I'm thinking about just some conversations that we've had, right? Where I've kind of talked about stuff that I've sat on for many, many years. And that provokes some emotion. And I know my first inclination is to go back to the training my training as a kid was men don't cry. And there's a part of me that when that hesitation comes up, I just breathe into it. I just give myself a moment to compose myself. And part of the composing of myself is, it's okay. Give yourself permission to have it. And I think I go back to the retreat, but I've worked with lots and lots of gay men. And I think there is a tremendous amount of unresolved grief on multiple layers. And I think in many ways in our community, we know how to play hard. We know how to play really dangerously hard. We engage in things that seem like major distractions from the gifts and the magic that is just begging to be acknowledged. And I think part of that is, I think at some point as a queer culture, we have to give ourselves permission to grieve, not to be stuck there, but to birth into the magic that sits on the other side.
I think you're really onto something there. I really do, because gay men explore these self-injurious, horrifying degradation. Just this stuff where, treat me like a hole and spit on me and stuff like that. And I think that really speaks to what you're saying. We've held so much guilt and grief and sadness and what the fuck that we engage in this self-injurious behavior, sort of like, when a kid is molested or whatever and they start cutting themselves. Like, it's kind of like that on a profound, huge level with who we are and how we are out there. I think that directly connects to that.
Yeah.
I'd like for you to remind me of this conversation later so we can go into it more, because I really think it's important. And I'm not, like I said, use this term before, I'm not yucking anyone's yums if they're into, being beat up during sex or whatever. I get that. I get after a while, it becomes this thing that you're owning and it's good for you. But I think it's really important to know where it comes from and why it's there. So then you can decide, is this really right or smart for me? Am I really going to find what I want in life or in a partner by just engaging in these kind of things?
Yeah.
Again, we all have our things that we like and
Right.
stuff. But I really feel like now I'm understanding that it's more important to find out why and where this is manifesting from, and then make your own informed decisions.
And to me, surprises lay there. Surprises lay waiting. Go back and explore that more. And that's where the unconscious can come in.
Mhm.
Yeah. I'm getting goosebumps thinking about
Yeah,
that.
yeah. And that's transformation.
Yeah, that's the real transformation.
I was just going to say, we're talking about transformation. We're taking, because I was feeling that sadness too. And I would even go further than that. Like Melodoma, again, would go back and say, we all come from like these indigenous roots.
Yeah.
If we trace our genealogy back far enough, right, we all have origins in Africa.
Mhm.
And isn't it interesting, right? We are so disassociated from those traditions. And even just the immediate tinnitus is we're so disassociated from nature,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
which is, you take people out in nature and you can just watch them decompress in a very short period of time.
It does really make physical change.
Yeah, especially when we're hiking.
Yeah.
Inside joke.
They took me on, what was known as a grandma hike, but I was like, Jesus Christ, I didn't know we were going to Mount Everest.
You were talking to God.
This is so layered, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Nuances coming out here.
Yeah.
Charles, I'm going to throw something at you. And so you're almost 90. I know we've talked a little bit about your own kind of consciousness around how you identify in the world with your sexuality and gender and what have you. And you've seen almost 100 years of queerness.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm curious, you often have talked to me about remembering our future.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder, what would you...
I love that term, by the way.
Yeah. How would you apply that towards, and maybe help conceptualize this idea of remembering the future, but what would you project into the queer universe, if you were? Like, where will we be in 100 years from now? In the wizardly magical way of thinking that you...
Well, that's a question that does require some listening here. Because that's you're opening a door to a new conversation. And there's all like with Rumi, beyond the ideas of right doing and wrongdoing, there's always going to be something waiting out there. And we have to go out into that place sometimes and wait a bit. I may have to take 20 breaths because that's a lovely invitation.
Yeah.
And
we have till Thursday. Maybe we all should breathe into that for a minute and think, what's the future?
Yeah, that's an interesting question you pose.
I'm hopeful.
And to me, then what spontaneously comes up is we all have personal ideals, preferences. And I have deliberately planned my death by croaking and practice it. And I'm not going to die by default, that the masses die by default, illness, this or that, and who gets off on it, the religions get off on it. No, I die, like the Tibetans taught me that. Mm-hmm. You plan your death, you practice it. So I have the last 10 breaths of my life, practice. My heart and I have this conversation. It knows at one given moment, mentally, I'll pull the plug and that'll be it. Because I feel complete, and there's no sorrow, there's no regret. By God, I got, no matter what it was, from way back there in the depression, abusive family, all the shit, the native world, all this, I got to hear, and I'm in a celebration of life, and that's enough. And you cast a glimmering out to 100 years from now. Whoa.
Okay, 50.
No, because you were shooting an arrow of intent
Yeah.
that's activating imagination. Imagination may be dormant in many people, right? But it's got to begin one by one, and again, gain momentum. But how, again, for yourself, how do you want to die as a gay man? How do you want to croak? What kind of completion do you have? Do you want to go by an illness of some kind, get some gold stars in heaven, and because you suffered, or do you just want to go gently and lovingly?
Oh, I want to go in my sleep.
Okay.
I love to be in my bed under my comforter, just snuggled in, and I love that feeling of falling asleep. And it's a very similar feeling I've had working with the medicines,
Yeah.
where I just feel myself shifting into a different dimension.
Right on.
And so I often think about this, that if someone said, you get to do this the way you want to do it, it's like, I want to be with my favorite comforter. I want to be naked and I want to be curled in. And I just want to feel myself shift into that next dimension.
So keep practicing it, and
Yeah.
you're opening the prefrontal lobes, the neocortex is opening up, and you're creating a track.
Yeah.
And it's an evolutionary track, because what level one person gets an idea, like a 100 monkey thing, it's going to create ripples.
Mm-hmm.
I do want to be old. I've thought about this, and I think working with Nick has helped me, because I thought, old kind of sucks, but I'm feeling so healthy and so vibrant. I think my intention is to maintain that engagement with my body.
Right on.
To like, I want to cross the threshold of 100.
You're becoming a heretic or a rebel against the collective and the miasm of the collective, the way everybody else has done it.
Yeah.
All it takes is one person to get a dream and do something differently.
Yeah.
And keep playing with that. It's a beautiful way.
Mm.
And because I have no use for peace, I have no use for war, I've got none of my interest. But how about somewhere out there in a field of harmony, in a native way, and we're all indigenous somewhere, that all beings, all the variations live in harmony, enjoy one another. How about that for a beginning? Yeah. And all the labels, all the defenses, because our bodies are defense mechanisms, basically. All the defenses are gone. That's why I don't go to peace bullshit. I'm not interested. Ecstasy, I'm joy. I'm ecstasy. And why not? Little kids are ecstatic.
Yeah.
Creatures, little birds, hummingbirds come in.
Yeah.
There's ecstasy. And that's, to me, is a natural way of life. That's the core of my life. And that's what I got when I got back to little Charlie. Went back to that before place that like the Hopi and the Hunas teach about. Back, there's a part waiting, and the Tibetans talk about that. There's a part waiting for us to retrieve it. It was there before we came in. And then our whole field of perceptions change. Everything is a threshold, an opportunity for some expansion, liberation of all beings. And I'm going to sit with that even more, because that's activated something in me. And because they had a time slot, but when we all, because I worked with people to go into the future collectively. And I had this one case I mentioned to you. These doctors were all on the floor in this suite in Texas, but they all zeroed in, and something happened. A curtain opened up, and there was an energy device sitting there, based upon an equation from the Kabbalah. So it's possible to co-dream together, co-create. And you're doing that too, in a way, aren't you, here in Mindfully Gay? And on another level. And maybe you'll become more deliberate about it now.
How would you coach us? We've talked about this. I'm curious. Yeah, we're here. Nick's going to listen to this. How would you coach us in co-collaborating that future? You brought it up.
Well, it's in the field now. We open the door, it's in the field. Let's respond to it. And again, that would take some real listening to. We'd have to sit in a circle long enough to break down causations, any hesitation, and we're to say to flow. Our hearts are flowing, and we're creating a vortex.
It kind of happened when we did our pipe.
I was thinking the exact same thing.
We did a pipe here,
right here.
before. It felt like things were stuck, and so Nick, myself, and John, we did a little pipe ceremony here, and we just kind of let our ideas and the people that we were concerned about, people that we thought would benefit, we just started calling them in, and I as you were speaking, I was thinking, what a great template for a retreat to get a dozen guys to let's co-collaborate our future.
And take them to the pre-verbal place. Don't let it go into their heads.
Yeah.
Tap in your pre-verbal, your primitive roots there. And there's a heartbeat. Somewhere there's a heartbeat in it all. And infuse that, breathe that prana in. Because it's shape-shifting. We're becoming something different.
Yeah.
Then I want to share something that this I've been thinking of since that we went from, creating how we want to die, how we want to pass on to this. And during that whole time, and then you were talking about when you bang like that and you like the primitive self, the way that I see myself and want to envision myself passing away was right there front and center for me. And before I say what that is, I want to say I think part of it is because I've just watched so many people that I love just like slowly die and just rot away, sick in bed and all, or quickly from something horrible. And I have in my mind, I want to die in battle. I want to die in a blaze of glory, fighting for something that I love or a cause or someone I love. I want to die in battle. I want to die with energy. I don't want to die in my bed, in my sleep. I don't want that because I've seen that so much that I feel like I want to go in because I know that there's a spirit. I know that there's another place after this. I know it. Yeah. And I don't want to go into that place drugged out because I'm on cancer medication. I don't want to go into that place when I'm asleep. I want to go with awake and aware. And I think of a battle, an ancient battle. I think of that in my mind. I want to have a cause to die for.
And when you're bringing that forward, I feel like this is a great orgasm. Well, I used to build up orgasms for 2 or 3 hours before just keep working it, and then, oh my God! And it's a little death. Yeah. A pure orgasm is a little.
Isn't that the French? That's a French word, right? In the little death or something like that. The orgasm is called the little death.
Yeah.
I love that. That's so cool.
Yeah. Well, there's something coming there too. About being in battle, because that's a chemical addiction, having to fight something or fight for something.
That's what I was wondering. What is that? It's not healthy, I would imagine. But like I said, I feel like I want to be honest.
Yeah. Oh, I hear.
Until
we can put it out, we can't examine it.
Yeah. What do you think that is? Is that just simply what I said? I've created these narratives in my head about how I perceive death, so I don't want it to be like that for me.
It's eons of domestication and tribalism, this and that. You got to fight this, fight that.
Yeah.
And we have this metaphor of the spiritual warrior. He doesn't have to do it in an outward battle, but there's this whole sense of conquest with the self.
So then there is something relatable in that.
Yeah.
It's not just a stupid ego.
Nothing is stupid there. Nothing is stupid.
It's interesting. You talk about the spiritual battle, and when Melodoma was passing away, he invited Bruce and I to come to his home, and he didn't do any medications. He wasn't doing the morphine thing. And what was interesting is clearly he was on his deathbed.
Yeah.
And his request was he wanted enough healing, if you will, or strength put into his body because he still had work to do before he crossed over.
That's
And
awesome.
and what he was communicating is, I still have one or two pieces I want to resolve before I let go and move to the other side. And to me, because he was definitely a very warrior type spirit, and I thought that was the spiritual warrior, right? Is he was still to the very end. And Bear Boy did the same thing. Bear Boy he knew he was dying, and it's like, there are things I want to resolve or have resolved before I cross over. Because he saw that as advantageous to going where he's going to go.
Well, because that knowing that whatever track we're on here now, if we don't clean it up here, we're going to find it on the other side.
Yeah.
It's going to be a repetition. And to me, what has come to me, and having gone through a number of so-called death thresholds over my life, diseases and what have you, by having my death so there between now and then, it could happen tonight or 20 years from now. It doesn't matter. As my old teacher Milton Erickson said, once you have this well-established outcome over here, relax and enjoy the journey.
Mm-hmm.
Just wait till after the dance.
Huh?
Wait till after the dance. We need you this weekend.
Why not go in the dance?
Yeah. Wow.
Okay, but wait till the end. Okay, just spoil it for everyone.
And I would say, okay, I'd love to hear what that means for you.
Mm-hmm.
To really bring that out, that it would spoil everyone. That's something in your mind. I'm not wanting to shame them. There's something there that I do invite to come forward.
That if you died during the dance?
Yeah.
The collective grief, and
What are they celebrating for me?
I think after a couple of days, maybe they would. But I think right
Charles,
there and then,
I think
it would be devastating.
I think if something like that were to happen,
Uh-huh.
I think myself, Bruce, I think there are people in that circle who would know exactly what happened and would see it as magical.
Yeah.
I don't have confidence that everyone
I agree with
shares
that. Yeah.
space.
But all you need to do is control the energy, and they'll be all laughing. Manipulate the energy.
But in the fact that you're sharing this energy and you're talking to him, you're telling him, also manifests that reality that God forbid, or the spirits not right now and then, but if it does, at least you are prepared to help him in that way in that time too.
Yeah, take some notes. Charles said manipulate the group. All right, everyone.
Now, what are we feeling right now? Because I love this threshold. What are we each feeling right here?
This feels like the coaching. This is the coaching. How we can approach mindfully gay.
What's the feeling, though?
The feeling is free, just feeling liberated, feeling that release. I don't have to hold on to the expectation and what's it going to be like and how are other people going to react.
Yeah.
Just fall into it. I want to do this with my body.
Yeah.
And it's all going to be okay, whatever happens.
It's pure ecstasy.
Mm-hmm.
It can be. Dionysian.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I'm feeling appreciative. I really am feeling appreciative that it's nice to find people that I can talk to and break these things into pieces with that are not the usual family circle. I think it's so I'm feeling appreciative.
And what are you feeling right now?
Well, I was feeling a little silliness and playfulness. And collectively, this whole experience has been, well, the first word that comes to mind is joyous. Like, I'm just like, I feel as if there is a good idea for a future retreat concept. Like he said, coaching, I thought, well, yeah, I'm walking away with about 10 items about how to be more productive. It's interesting, and this is my stuff. I remember when we did that pipe, I was so hesitant about saying, can we do this? And partly because I know he's not here to protect himself, but I know that Nick didn't necessarily have the connection to what I was suggesting. And so there was a piece of me that was hesitant to do that. I know that you have some of that connection, but maybe not in the. And what was so refreshing about that moment is all three. At one point, I handed Nick the pipe, and he wouldn't let go of it. He just like. Usually, I hand a pipe to someone to take 1 or 2 breaths and give it back. I'm like, Nick, can I have it back?
Did you put pot in it?
No, just
that would
right.
explain it.
But energetically, I mean, like he kind of quickly resonated with it, and kind of like how you did at the retreat. And I think what understanding I'm getting is. Even when we talked about doing little shorts, right? I think, what could I say about this stuff that people would be interested in? And it's just occurring to me as I'm listening to you. It's like, there's a wealth of resources that I've been hesitant to bring out to move this forward. And so I'm feeling inspired and feeling permission to just put it out there and to encourage it. And all of us, all 4 of us now. And maybe some of the guys who've been at the retreat say, hey, this is a community collaborative. And so come and join us in this pipe. And to draw from, it's not just Charles, it's Melodoma, it's Bear Boy, it's all these folks who have been offering these teachings. And I think I've been hesitant to give them permission to be fully realized. And what I'm recognizing is it's probably exactly what we need to incorporate more of.
Yeah. And I would like, from my perception of it here, it takes time for momentum to build. And I think you're at the threshold now when it's time. It couldn't have happened before in the same way.
Yeah.
Right. I don't think you've been withholding it or holding it, but time is now. The momentum is building.
Yeah.
Well, we have to be so careful with our language.
Well, say I think after the retreat.
Can you explain that? Why do we have to be so careful with our language?
Because the brain can't help itself. When I say, we had this thing this week, what Jane Fonda thing about re-identifying ourselves. We use the same language over and over again. We're activating a historical part of ourselves, which is generally at the trauma-based, what have you. The minute you begin to re-identify yourself deliberately, the brain, which is a neural, it begins to function. Then all the molecules in our bodies begin to fire a different frequency.
Reactivation of neural pathways.
Yeah.
Which is what you were talking about the other night, which is why I wanted you to say that again, because I found that absolutely fascinating.
Yeah.
So because
what
you're saying in a nutshell, if I can dumb it down for myself, is we have these preconceived ways that we think and do things based on what we are verbalizing. When you verbalize it, your ears, they reprocess it, and you grind these grooves. So what you're saying
it's called an engram in the brain. The engram.
Okay, is we literally have to watch our words because we don't want to just keep creating those same friggin' grooves.
Yeah.
We want to make new grooves with the new needle, which is a positivity needle.
Absolutely, very selective,
Okay,
very deliberate.
I've got it now. I'm glad I've been thinking about that.
Well, it built up. It popped out at this moment.
I like it because it's actual work, and I'm a visual thinker, and that's actual work for me to, shut my Italian mouth sometimes and not say the things that I want that my subconscious mind wants me to say.
Yeah.
I have to mindfully think about what it is that's going on before I say it.
Yeah.
And it's a hell of a lot of work, but I can see
the benefits are enormous.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking at you and I see the vibe emanating off of this, hot, older Max von Sydow, well-read, erudite guy. And I'm thinking, this guy, he has it. I'm like, I'm learning. I'm actually getting how to do the math.
Okay, well, I'm going to give you another lesson then. You feel something coming off of me, okay?
So to speak.
Before Buddhism fucked up Tibet,
there
was a culture called the Bon culture, shamanistic culture. And the essence of that culture was being either the devoured or the devourer. Okay? So I want you to eat some of the energy that you feel. Breathe it in. Now breathe it in. It's in the air. Breathe it.
Yep.
So then swallow a little bit and let it go down, because it's like we also call psychic homeopathy. It triggers, it quickens something, a vibrational something in your body.
No, I absolutely I feel it and get it, and I know
Yeah.
there's so many things that I could verbalize it into different ways, but sometimes just feeling it seems more potent. So I get that.
And the individual who has supposedly is more awake and conscious has the greatest responsibility, because you can help direct energies flow just by breathing. Eat all these energies. What's her name? Pema Chodron teaches Tom Glenn. Take anything. Life devours life. And convert it into joy, love, whatever you want to do. There's deliberate intent there again.
Yeah.
Which is why there are great men, and then there are evil men that they get it, and they go one or the other way. You can be a brilliant, intelligent shaman that can share positive goodness. Then there are people that go in the wrong way and can share that negativity. And on a lesser level, that's where you kind of have politicians and dictators and
Yeah.
I've been getting a lot of clarity out of this conversation. It's nice.
In my estimation, we're at a time what they call the Pluto return in this country. And every 243 years, this planet comes around, a minor planet, they call it now. And it shows all the underworld, the shadow hidden there. Now, hidden, say, in the world of the IJC, Islam, Judeo-Christianity, is a virus. And it's called the Dominator virus. And look what it's all done to the world.
Yeah.
There may be some folks I'm offending in some way, but you got to look what's on the table. Look what's here.
Did you get to watch the Jane Fonda video? Did you get to see it?
No.
So I have it right here.
Yeah, play it.
If you're going to play that, then he's going to have to edit it into the video so everyone watching.
But take it seriously.
We'll be able to hear it.
I've written maybe 20 pages on that since maybe I've listened to it 15 times.
Oh, I'm sure.
Something new. Yeah, play it.
Okay, let me see.
We carry scenarios within us, how we were treated, things that might have happened. And as a result of this, neural pathways are formed in the brain. However, what we now know with brain science, you can reset the neural pathways like you do a thermostat. It's not so much what was done to you, it's what you do with it. It's the greatest freedom that humans have, the ability to redefine the things that have happened to us. And that new way of thinking becomes hardwired. We carry...
And you become being.
Yeah, or to be... You can... If you don't use it, you become a victim, and then that becomes your story, or you become that story that you create from grief. And no one teaches you how to not do that, or how to do what she's saying you should do. People are. I see why people are so stuck for so many years.
This is one of my problems. This is the world of psychotherapy has changed so dramatically. It's become very template driven, right?
Very what?
Very template driven.
Oh, really? Okay.
So the ABCs of how to do something, and it's always very cognitive based kind of approaches, and so consequently, there used to be a role that psychotherapy played in getting people in touch with these kinds of things, getting in touch with feeling and emotion. And somewhere along the gamut of managed healthcare and brief therapeutic models, it's like, we just want you in and out of therapy quick and fast, take care of the symptoms. We don't ever get to the root. And that's what I find about shamanism in particular, right? Shamanism looks at body, mind, spirit. And it's looking at root causes. It's looking at how do we get to the core of finding those balances. And I think psychotherapy, quite frankly, a lot of our new therapists are just coming out with certificates because they took a 2-week class.
Yeah. Oh,
right.
Even in shamanism.
And in our shamanism, right, people aren't willing to commit to the mentorship. They want to take the workshop. And if you think about how we played out that retreat, it was very carefully played out to kind of bring people into the root of something, and then to bring them into that ritualistic space to let the ancestors and the spirits do the work they needed to do. And people came out with layers of consciousness that weren't there before.
Glimmerings woke up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so it's past his bedtime. No.
I'm feeling complete.
Yeah, so I do want to check in because I'm watching everyone and just maybe in a word or two, like, where are you sitting with this? This is Wizardry 201.
It's 101 for me.
You're in the accelerated program. So John, where are you at?
A sense of opening. I just love listening to that Jane Fonda clip where, those grooves, those neural pathways that have just been so ingrained.
Yeah.
And even in this short time together, I can feel the new neural pathways forming, new ideas, new ways of looking at things. How I and how we can approach the future, the now of Mindfully Gay. So there's a sense of excitement, joy, and inspiration, motivation. Those higher vibrations within me right now, and I'm ready to act. It's like, let's go. Let's do this. Let's do this. And just so many new ideas for podcast episodes, what we can do in small circle. I'm like, when you mentioned the pipe, like, I want to do another pipe. We need to do another pipe. Themed oriented retreats. I mean, just all the ideas. It's flowing. I just feel
right on
the openings.
Yeah.
Where are you at, Cole?
I'm in a place, I'll try to abbreviate it, but I'm at a place where I'm very happy and excited, but I'm at a place where I feel like I've had this big old book, this crusty, dirty, ancient book that I've been carrying around since I was a boy. And in the book, it's filled with pictures of all this cool stuff, and I know what some of the pictures are, but I could never read the paragraphs or the pages that explain what these photographs were or meant. I kind of had a sense, but now I feel like I'm learning to decipher these ancient Aramaic squiggles that I wasn't getting, and I'm learning the alphabet, and I'm actually getting, oh my God, that's what that means. That picture goes to, this makes perfect sense. And it's so exciting to me that I find myself thinking, I want to get to the point where I have it down rote, because I feel like I feel like I can impart and sell anything, and I want to read this whole book and memorize it, and then I want to somehow use it to help other people through struggles. And the struggle that keeps coming into my mind was the thing that's been in my life. My dad was an alcoholic, my grandfather. I have friends that have died of addiction, family struggle. I know all these wonderful, wonderful people, and I see the plague of addiction, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm hoping that this book of fucking magic in my mind, it will help me find something in there where I can I'm trying to get through it. Because because it's so powerful.
Yeah.
But I want to like decipher a way to help some of the people that I love or the people that are really struggling with that specifically. And I think it would be great. And I'm feeling like it's such a good feeling that it's making me very emotional.
Yeah.
My turn.
Take a breath.
No, my turn. You keep trying to skip me.
Well, you're the moderator.
Yeah, I've said this before, and I'm even more convinced that what we're doing with this group is shifting a cultural narrative that takes us closer to moving from the place of martyr and victim to the place of magician and magic maker and so in me, that's just like I feel this eagerness, like you know, like a jaguar just ready to devour, you know, the next thing. And so I'm enjoying that, like that energy is just moving through me, and yeah. And then I'm grateful that you were able to be here as part of this, equation. You know, kind of what I was telling you before the podcast is one of the things I wanted people to see in the podcast is the magic of mentorship, right? Because you've been my elder and teacher and grandfather, if you will. And I think that process of mentorship is daunting to a lot of people. And wow, all three of us lived through it.
Yeah.
And even coming out at the end of it, like with a new vision.
A new vision.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm was hungry when we made the invitation, and so glad that you joined us and stirred the pot vigorously.
Yeah,
For sure.
And where are you at?
well, little Charlie's right here.
Mhm.
And because I took
Mhm.
so much joy in this. And there is a Stephen Sondheim song that part of the lyric goes, step by step, putting it together. Step by step, all you do is a tiny start. And then momentum builds, builds. And the wizard in me has a solution for you so fast. I have to think about it. The image is, you know. And we're waking up the wizards in all of ourselves.
Yeah.
You know. And that, and to me, the less attention I call to what I'm doing, and just do it in the shadows, do it this way and that way, because the more you get out there in front of the public, the shadow's going to rise. Let it be like a virus. I used to teach viruses to people in corporate situations, how to dominate a boardroom. Because the unconscious is waiting for somebody to dominate the energy. And we have all this parasitic world out here now. You know, that you talk about ruas, you know, and the mitote. And all it takes is a little glimmering of consciousness, the door to open up. And we're no longer at the affect of what we used to be at the affect of.
Yeah.
And then we have that opportunity to meet that energy, devour that energy. And what's waiting, it's been waiting for millennia to come to a new life. Life devours life. And I also believe, what's his name? Persig's theory is that nature itself is ever evolving toward greater and greater beauty and simplicity. And I believe that, something that I live with.
Yeah.
How much more elegance, how much more beauty, much more conscious. So.
Okay.
And thank you. I've had a ball.
Me too.
Yeah.
I know one of the downsides of this for me will be trying to go to sleep tonight. Because I get so high. I get so high. Whoa! Maybe I'll die tonight.
Well, we certainly hope this has stirred you up as it stirred us up. And I'll just take the opportunity to thank Charles for being here and being part of this journey, and having Cole with us today, sitting in and sharing his experience.
Feed
And
me a hamburger, please.
we'll get to that.
Feed me a hamburger, please.
Does that mean run out of time? Whatever.
And we just hope this has inspired you too. And as we are now experiencing this new pathway and evolution of Mindfully Gay, we extend that invitation out to you to join in all of this. It's not just us. It's all of us. And you have a story to tell, and you have a wisdom to share and a gift to share. And we want to hear it, and others want to hear it. We need to hear it. So tell people about this. Just as Charles was saying, be that virus and start to infect
Be that algorithm.
Be that algorithm. I like that. That's much better. Be that algorithm. Just a little shift, a little change in your language, in your being, in your authenticity, and it's a ripple effect, right? It will spread. We can do that with you. You're not alone in this. So join us in the conversation. Keep joining us in our social gatherings. Join us in our retreats. We just want to say thank you. And as we move forward, we encourage you to live authentically and to join us next time on the Mindfully Gay podcast. Thank you for tuning into this episode of the Mindfully Gay podcast. If you enjoyed our conversation today, please remember to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. This way you won't miss out on any of our upcoming episodes, where we continue to explore fascinating topics and share meaningful stories. Your support means the world to us. See you in the next episode.